On this talk, I would like to talk about the edge device that you forgot to update. Maybe yesterday, last week, last month. We will discover this during this talk. But I would like to explain how critical it is to have software updates and operating system updates in place for your IT and OT teams or for your customers in case that you don't manage your own factory. So I would like to start with some questions. So who works in a factory or in an industrial space? Okay, IT and OT. Oh yeah, we have some people, nice. Who works on solution development or product development here? All right, nice. So who heard the sentence of, if it's not broken, don't fix it? Everyone? No? No, Marc never listened it? No? You say it, right, John? You say to your IT guys, if it's not broken, don't fix it. Don't change OPC UA. Okay, cool. So I would like to start with one researcher who inspired me like 20 years ago when I was studying engineering. He was Marc Weiser. He was working at Xerox PARC in Silicon Valley, and he wrote a super interesting article called "The Computer of the 21st Century." On this paper, it's like 7 pages. You can download it for free. He was explaining in the 80s how people would interact in the 21st century with technology. And actually, he starts his paper with this sentence. He said, the most profound technologies are those that disappear. Okay? He also talks about how virtual interactions will generate physical actions and how physical actions will generate virtual interactions. Actually, this is already happening, right? And this is something that it's already happening in the factories. So IT and OT people, the experts of the shop floor, used to 5, 10 years ago, or still today, use paper sheets, write everything, what happens on their shift, right? But what they are facing today is that most of the relevant things that happen on the shop floor happen on the virtual layers and not anymore on the physical layers. So a lot of virtual connections are completely intangible for them, and they don't see what's really happening and what's the added value that all of this software that we have been listening about produces on their day-to-day life. Okay, and this is why they are still facing this problem of that the most profound technologies are disappearing in front of them, and it's hard to them to see what's happening. This is why it's important that they understand what's running on their devices, okay? Because, yeah, probably John can tell us, so what's the goal that you have? So to produce more, no, with less, more optimized, with less costs, right? But to do that, what you have to achieve is to have always the devices running. Only stop when you have your planned maintenance windows or whatever. And to achieve that, you need to have control of your software and your operating system to don't get into problems. Okay, because when probably someone asks, how we can increase the availability of my system? No, maybe, I don't know if someone will agree that I can tell you, hey, just create a new production line. Don't use your legacy machinery here. But today, we have the tools and the capabilities to add edge devices in the field, and just these legacy machines, update them, give superpowers to them with new software, new services running on them, and allow them to transform themselves and to generate these virtual tools to work as a new machine. In the future, I think the new machines that will appear in the industry, they will generate even more data, but they will be transformative. They will understand what happens, how to optimize themselves, and auto-program or auto-decide how to do the things. But for that, you need to have in place how to update the software running on your device think this is failing? You have a mic? You have yeah, in case that the batteries fail. So you need to have software in place, software updates in place, and something that I will explain in a second as well, operating system updates. So, if you want to be always uptime, security is key. And just to explain you one story that probably most of you know, it's what happens last May in Denmark. I don't know if you're aware of what happened. No? Okay, so 25th of April this year, one of the companies that manufactures the firewalls that most of the energy power stations in Denmark use, released a patch on a critical vulnerability on their operating system, or on their application. So they communicate to everyone, hey, you must update the software of your firewall. 11th of May this year, so 2 weeks later, 11 of the 16 companies who has power stations in Denmark didn't update that software, and they were attacked by cyber criminals. Okay, 2 weeks later, they got all of them attacked because they didn't update the next release. And this is how they need to run as island, disconnected, and they had a lot of problems to get online again. This is just because they didn't update the software running on their edge infrastructure. Okay? So let me ask more questions. When did you update the software running on your infrastructure? Did you update it this week? Yes, this week? Last month? Anyone last month? 1 hour ago? Doing right now? Okay. Never? I remember I had a conversation with an industrial guy, and he told me, no, I'm super successful on my Industrial IoT product, and I'm running, and then I can update it remotely, etc. And then I said, okay, and what about the operating system? Oh no, the operating system, we don't update that, we don't touch that. And what operating system do you use? It's a 15-year-old Linux SUSE distribution that it's very tiny, like, what? A 15-year-old, and you're a leader of Industrial IoT? Let's talk about that. So, yeah. Ubuntu basically last month released 21 critical vulnerabilities on the version 22.04 LTS, which is one of the most download versions on their distribution. Okay, so you can imagine how your factory or your infrastructure can be affected by this, and that means that you will have downtime, and you will be less efficient, no, and to produce will be more expensive. So, as an analogy, basically, what I want to explain is, do you leave the door of your house open? Maybe closed, but not with a key? Yeah, you can leave it, right? It could be okay, but bad things could happen. So this is kind of analogy that I want to tell you. So you can survive with no software updates in place, no operating systems, mechanisms in place, but bad things can happen in the future or in the present. And actually, I want also to explain that to have these mechanisms in place not only allows to update the version of HiveMQ running on your edge devices or Ignition running on your devices, you can give extra functionalities to your devices in the future that maybe today you are not aware that you will need them, but maybe in the future you will want to have like OPC UA, Spark Plug B, and so on and so on. But today you don't know it. But with these mechanisms in place, you will be able to do it. So this is why I want to explain you this story. Not sure if anyone know it, but there is one of the most famous alarm companies in Europe. It's called Securitas. I don't know if in Germany it has the same name. It's from Sweden. One of their biggest markets is Spain. They had a problem in Spain. I'm not sure if they have it here as well or in your country, it's that the burglars go with a jamming system. I don't know if it's... so basically, it's a tiny control remote, costs $10 on AliExpress, and basically blocks all the radio frequencies from cellular and Wi-Fi. So you just press a button, nobody has connectivity, and then the burglars can do their job. When they go, they just, the radio frequency interruption just disappears, and the alarm didn't realize that this happened, okay? What happened with these guys? So they were trying to find actually solutions for that. But the funny story is that they had a meeting with a radio frequency company, and in the slide 37, on the 9th bullet point, they had this issue. We have this problem with jamming with burglars. And the guy sitting there on the 37th slide said, okay, your 9th bullet point, we can solve that. We have a sub-gigahertz radio frequency technology that can fix that. And just because that hardware had this radio frequency, that had a modem that could listen as well on sub-gigahertz, so below, so on 868 megahertz radio technology, just with a software update, with an OTA, they could just flash a new firmware on all the devices, millions of devices in Spain, and have this anti-jamming feature available for all the customers. So now, if the alarm system detects jamming, this sub-gigahertz technology just send a message to the system and says, hey, someone is trying to jam this alarm, call the police and go. But that was possible only because they had these software updates in place. Let me show you another example. Maybe you know Tesla cars. They are probably other cars here in Germany are as well connected. But last year, you know how many software updates they received? Less than 50? Who says less than 50? No? More than 100? No? 153 software updates. And some people tell me, yeah, this is shit, so it's mostly to solve bugs. But not only that, yeah, how do you know that your car doesn't have any bug, right? How many times did you update your car? No, I don't know, maybe. I don't know if my car has been updated, never. So I'm not sure if it has a bug or not. But these guys have the availability to fix bugs, but not only that, to add new features to your car. They can change how things work, they can improve machine learning models, they can do many things because they have these mechanisms. Now, why we cannot have that on factories or industries? Because, yeah, this is an elephant in the room. 5, 10 years ago, this was not relevant. Today, with cyber criminals and with the tools that we have in the edge, we can start giving these superpowers to our edge devices. Okay? And then we can talk with Marc if it's important to have more edge devices or less or not. But I think it's important that if they are there, they can have these mechanisms and be able to update them remotely. And my recommendation, my honest recommendation, I work for a company, I'm going to do a demo in a second, but avoid the do-it-yourself. So we are here engineers, right? And probably some of you, your brain will start thinking, okay, how can I implement this myself on my solution? Sure, I open a tunnel, VPN tunnel, then SSH, blah, 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 and I can do that over the weekend. It's not only that, it's more complex than this. And there are experts who have, so I'm not talking only about my company, anyone who does this technology can help you because have experience to work with companies like yours and many more. Okay, so I call it the Die Hard method. I love the movie Die Hard, so you can do the Die Hard method, or you can get help by companies who do it, and in one click, as you're going to see, can just change what is running on your edge devices. So I call this continuous improvement. Okay, maybe, yeah, there is this Japanese concept behind this continuous improvement, and probably has been used on a lot of other concepts for software development, etc. But yeah, this is very related with what we think that must be running on devices in the edge, basically. What I mean by continuous improvement, it's these things. First, enable on your edge devices to have software updates, but as well operating system updates. and everything can be run. No? I think someone before was talking about this GitOps concept. So I think continuous integration, continuous deployment, just with a Git push, you can start updating all your fleets of devices. I'm going to show you that there are multiple ways to do it, etc. And it's not only update the version of HiveMQ or the version of, it's about how now I need to add extra powers to my edge devices. So have something that allows you to add new services running with you. I'm going to explain you a story with Kutzai that we had some month ago. Then something super important is, it's, as I mentioned before, if you do it yourself, as I'm speaking with a lot of companies, yeah, it can be done one by one. That's possible. But what happens when you have thousands of these devices and you want to update them, no, with a specific configuration, or you want to add a new service to them? So have in place features to apply this or deploy these changes as a fleet. And finally, that to me it's super important, it's to avoid the lock-ins. So when you choose a technology like this, try to understand that if something goes wrong with that company, you will be saved and you will be able to run this by yourself, okay? And you are not forced to use technologies that you don't want. And actually, something funny happened with Kutzai. We were preparing for a demo. Sorry that I didn't mention that I was using you as an example. And we were running just a dummy demo with Node-RED and Grafana and InfluxDB. And then we said, OK, now we need to move these. Now that we proved that Modbus devices work, we should move these into Ignition. And I remember very clearly that Kutzai say, OK, so this is hard. I mean, you have to change all of this software to Ignition. Maybe let's schedule a call next week, and we can. And then in the meantime, I was just deploying Ignition on these devices. And when he almost finished to say this, I say, no, check your device in Munich, check my device in Barcelona. All have Ignition right now. Okay, so if you have these tools in place, if these continuous integration, continuous improvement tools available for yourself, you will be able to do things like that, to give superpower to your devices in just one click or in a really simple way. Okay. And then you have to learn this. In this case, we only had 2 devices, but you need to be able to apply these to thousands of devices. And the good thing is that if the fleet management concept works well, if you have customers that say, if it's not broken, don't fix it, you also can do that. So you can have customers running on the latest release and customers that only update when they have when there are major releases or specific things. But I remember speaking with companies saying, yeah, we have these, but we go one by one. So we need to have someone there spending 1 week getting into the VPNs, SSH, and run scripts on every device because we don't have this in place. So think on this fleet management concept. And actually, one funny story, I was interviewing some of our industrial IoT customers last week, or 2 weeks ago, actually. And I was trying to get war stories. I wanted to tell you here, look, for this customer, we saved their life, or we saved their day, because Balena could, or because they had software updates and operating system updates available. We saved, their, the day for this customer, XYZ. And the funny story is that they told me, I'm sorry, so you didn't save me any time, anything, it just works. Instead of going there with a machine, deploying the VPNs, etc., we go there, in 30 minutes it's working, and we just leave the company, and it works automatically. So it's said that I cannot share any war story from any of our customers, but when you have tools like that enables you, even remotely, to update the software running on your factories, yeah, it just works. Okay. So my takeaway before the demo, actually, is that please have this ability or enable your systems to be updated. Because if not, you don't want to be the one who didn't update this edge device or you forgot it to update it, and because of that you had problems. And let me do a tiny, I don't know if you have time for a tiny demo. Yes, it's okay? Okay. I wanted to have this talk high level without mentioning that I work at Balena, because I think that there are other companies that do similar things, and it's you who need to choose if you prefer, no? Like Marc mentioned that they use Kubernetes to orchestrate their edge devices. We use Docker containers. So you have to use this. You have to embrace this continuous improvement, okay? But you can choose whatever you want. I would like to show you how we do and how we work. And from this, if you don't have these mechanisms in place, I invite you to learn more and to bring them into your system. I don't know if you know Balena, but anyone knows this? Okay. So this is Balena Etcher. This is one of our most popular software that we have. Okay, this is a tool to flash SD cards or USB drives and flash operating systems on your computers. We did that to enable our customers who were using Balena they were calling all the time, how can I put Balena on my device? So instead of explaining them how to use DD, we make this software, which is open source, and you can flash your SD card or USB stick to flash operating system on a device, on an edge device or any PC or laptop, etc. Let me explain what is Balena. So basically, Balena, it's a secure container system, okay, that helps you to manage remotely your edge devices. So how does it work? So if you want to run Balena, you need to run Balena OS. Balena OS is a Linux operating system, open source, based on Yocto, that enables us to have many devices compatible with our operating system. So we don't care what hardware do you use. All of them, when it works under Balena, we take care to build your application and deploy it on your device because it runs our operating system. The magic of Balena is it only can execute containers. Okay, we don't allow anyone to run anything on the host OS. Okay, we think that containers, as it was a good tool 10 years ago for developers to deploy services in the cloud, they are a perfect tool today to run in the edge. It doesn't add any extra time or anything. And we actually are running Docker version for edge devices from Moby. So we just forked that Moby project from Docker, and we built our container engine, which is called Balena Engine. It's as well open source, okay? And on the top of that, we have what we call a supervisor, which is an agent that runs on the edge device, and it's asking to the fleet management tool if there is a new release to deploy, if it's a new, to send the logs, you're going to see how the supervisor works in a second. And basically it's this. So next to the supervisor, which is a container, but it's transparent to the user, you can have multiple containers running on it. Okay, I'm not sure if everyone is aware of what is a container or not. I'm going to show you in a second. So I will start with a demo that I have these 4 containers running. Actually, we'll have 5, but this is not relevant. So I will run an MQTT broker, InfluxDB, Grafana, and Node-RED. This is what I call Ming stack. MQTT, InfluxDB, Node-RED, and Grafana. Okay, and this is like a boilerplate application that you can start getting data from Modbus, store it locally in the edge, visualize it with Grafana, and store it with a kind of an historian open source system. Okay, and then what I'm going to do in the demo, it's maybe stupid or not, but I'm going to get this device, which is in my desk in Barcelona, and I'm going to flash, I'm going to deploy a HiveMQ edge. Okay, and we are going to get Modbus data from another device that I have, and we're going to send it over HiveMQ edge. Let's do it. I have some screenshots in case that the demo gods don't help me, okay? So, okay. So I have, this is the fleet. Well, this is Balena Cloud. As I mentioned, on the top of the devices, we have a fleet management tool. With Balena, you can use 2. We have OpenBelena, which is open source. You can deploy it on your AWS, Microsoft, Azure, etc., and do fleet management with it. Or you can use Balena Cloud, which is our premium product, and we get paid because customers just pay for Balena Cloud. It's exactly the same APIs, the same everything. It's compatible. The only difference with OpenBalena is that it doesn't have a UI. It's everything. It's CLI, but you can do 80% of the same things that you see here. There are developers in the community who built a UI, etc. So I have here, okay, a fleet of 2 devices. Sorry, it's not massive. It's an ARC64, so this is a Raspberry Pi 4. And the latest release, I have 30 releases on this fleet, and the latest is running this Ming stack thing. I have one offline, one online, running different versions of the Balena OS. Okay, I'm going to get into my Pi. As mentioned before, so this is the device interface. I see here all the logs. I have a terminal to SSH to the host OS or to containers. And I see here like information and information from the services. So I'm going to get into what we do here is we enable, as I cannot access to the local IP address because it's in my home, and we are going to use a feature that we call public device URL, where we expose a port 80 or the port 8080. Okay, so going to click here, and we just redirect Node-RED on the port 80. Fingers crossed that it works. Okay, so I had the demo done, but yeah, imagine, let's set up the MQTT broker. I think it should work like this. Subscribe to any topic. And I don't know, let's do this. Let's try if this works. On the other hand, I have another device that it's sending every 10 seconds. Let's do it sends every second. And Modbus data, okay? Sorry that it's a stupid, now it's when this doesn't work. Okay, yeah, it's connected. Let's see if we receive anything or not. Demo failed. So as I'm not happy with Node-RED and it's not working, so let's deploy HiveMQ Edge. As I mentioned before, we deploy containers, we manage containers. So as we have Balena OS in place, I'm gonna deploy the HiveMQ Edge to see if I can get this data from Modbus sensors instead of using Node-RED. So I'm gonna deploy this. So I'm gonna do it. Wait a second. It should be. So I copy the Slack of the fleet. That means that I'm gonna push a release, and all the devices that belong to this fleet will receive the latest release. Okay. So I'm uploading. Basically, for the ones who don't know so this is a Docker compose. So this is a release type where we specify how to start all the containers that are gonna run on a device. Okay. Basically, what I'm showing here, it runs on Balena, but it runs on any Linux operating system with Docker containers as well. So it's completely. Actually, I copied from the documentation from HiveMQ Edge. This is the Docker run instruction that you can run. So I just put it here on the Docker compose. I added some labels because I was doing some tests, basically opening these ports for the MQTT broker and 8080 to access to the UI. Okay, and yeah, I have a volume for the logs. So what is happening here is that, yeah, we are updating this. Now the Balena builders got this recipe and basically build this application and will get deployed this application to all the devices who wants to deploy the latest release. Okay, as I mentioned before, if you have a customer that says, if it's not broken, don't fix it, you can say, okay, this goes to a specific release. If there is a latest release, don't push it to this customer. That's really easy to do. Then what should happen is that, the devices, the offline, it's not going to update, of course, but this one, it's updating. Okay? If everything goes well, in some seconds, we will have everything working. So, meanwhile this works, maybe we can open a Q&A session. I have 5 minutes. Yeah, do you think in 5 minutes it's gonna? No, I'm joking. Should be quick because it's a very small container. But with this session, I just wanted to tell you this, that please start embracing this type of technologies. I think it can give you superpowers to control what's happening in your infrastructure, and you will be able not only to update the software or the operating system in case that there are security issues, but as well to add new containers, new services on your systems that can do extra things. Oh, look at this. So if I go to the port 8080 now, so I'm trying to access here to the port 80. So I just delete the HTTPS, and then I add 8080. Fingers crossed, the team of -QH. Here we go. So now on this device, we don't have Node-RED, we don't have InfluxDB, we don't have anything. We have -QH in just one Balena push, okay? And with the standard credentials, we can go to, let's see, we can have a, so from this device, let's create a bridge, let's see if it works, connected. So, let's see, it's connected or disconnected? Okay, so we start to see how the device with the Modbus data is sending data over -QH. Okay, and this is just with a software update, it works. Okay, so that's all. I don't know if anyone has any questions or anyone wants to see more demos, but questions? No questions? Yes.
Hey, I have a question regarding the fleet management topic and container security, actually. So, like you showed the open source version of Balena OS, and it also uses a Linux kernel. So in open source containers sometimes, and container engines specifically, there is a vulnerability where a super user access can be accessed by a hacker through network layer, and the container inside is could be vulnerable. In context of OT and edge devices, is this a problem that you can foresee happening? And would you have recommendation for people here on what to do? What are some best practices to avoid?
This is a very good question. We are always under pen testing, etc. We are running our own Docker engine, so we took a branch from Mobi and we adapted. So we know that this is not happening on the Balena containers. But this is important. And actually, when this happens, it's important that you are able to update the version of Balena engine or Docker, etc. So, I don't know if you want to complement.
Yeah. So I have one more question regarding the security. So there was an executive order passed last year in US that makes I think all the software vendors compulsory to list what open source tools have been used. So a common term that many people use is software bill of materials. So do you think this is also important when we think about a very good example is that vulnerability patch, right? That could be one use case. Do you have any other use cases where such a software bill of material philosophy could also be integrated in the continuous improvement philosophy, or do you already see people doing that in OT and IT area? Thank you.
Oh, this is for a beer discussion, I guess, this question. First of all, on the open source, I always have this discussion with people who hate open source technologies on IT, OT, but on the other hand, now I know companies, for example, that only do hardware that it's based on open source technologies, and they got this certification same level as Siemens PLCs or Rockwell PLCs. And then what the feedback that they get from their customers is that we want to run things that are open source, because then we know what's going on inside. So we can control everything from 0 to 100. I think with security, it's really hard to get 100% security. But at least if you get 90%, because you understand what's below you, that's enough. I think from getting from 90 to 100, it's the same effort or even more than the first 90%. But at least you have the tools to, or you understand what's going on below you, and you can change it or you can submit. In our case, we have a lot of customers that on support contact us, and then we create a GitHub issue, and we together can work on that, or they even can PR on the operating system or the container engine. So I think that transparency, it's very well appreciated by our customers. On the other hand, yeah, you always can say, yeah, no, but I don't know, let's say one brand, I don't want to say anything wrong to them, but let's say like, yeah, but this is Microsoft, so it's gonna, but how many people work on that project on Microsoft? Maybe it's just only one guy as well, no? Like, other software open source projects, no? That you can complain, oh, there was only one guy maintaining that in their free time. Yeah, maybe that happens on Microsoft as well, but you don't know, because that's not transparent. But it's a long discussion. You have a question?
I was wondering, we were talking a lot about security. Now you have an unsecure connection.
Yeah, indeed. No, yeah. I got to this morning like update, and I didn't want to. I have too many tabs here, and yeah. Now I got into a Wi-Fi, but I didn't want to update it outside my Wi-Fi. So yeah. Yeah, but that's the connection. It's you mean the browser? Yeah. In this case, yes, yeah, of course. But in this case, so yeah, let me get into the public device URL thing. This is not a feature that we recommend our customers to run as a production feature. We used to have some customers who relied on this, and we recommend that if they want to have to access remotely to specific ports, they build it themselves. So basically what we do at Balena, we only do the operating system and all this stack that I show you, but we don't do anything for the applications of our customers. If you want to have anything, you just build your container on your edge devices and you access to that. We made this to make simple to access to port 80 or 8080, but
would there be a way to have something like a proxy or so that you also do this?
Yeah. All of our customers, all of our customers that need that run a proxy container and then connect it to their proxy. You can.
But that one I have to build by my own on my side.
Yeah, of course, if you want to access our proxy, yes.
It would be a nice feature.
Yes and no, because it's really hard to make like a non-standard solution for everyone. So we made this. If you see that this works for you and you want to have a reliable solution, I think it's good that you build it yourself with the tools that you want. Because we have our VPN, but then some customers complain, no, but we want another VPN system. Okay, build it yourself. That's not a problem. More questions?
We're way over time.
Sorry for that.
I'm going to break for lunch, and then we come back again after 1 p.m., and then we'll get the UNS session. So please prepare your questions. It's going to be an interactive session.
Thank you.